February is National Black History Month, and here in Portsmouth, that history takes center stage with special events held throughout the month. We'll tell you about those right here, right now, on this episode of Portsmouth Now. Welcome to this February 2024 episode of Portsmouth Now. I'm your host, Rob Lauer. Throughout the month of February, the city of Portsmouth is celebrating Black history with a series of special events. Black History Now. Here's Dr. Alexander Benitez, Director of Tourism and Museums, and Mark Mims to tell us more about it. Alex, Mark, welcome to Portsmouth Now. The city is sponsoring just a ton of events this year for Black history, but you two are leading a new series of events that's entitled Black History Now. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, we're creating a series called Black History Now. The theme is Art is Revolutionary. And we'll be doing this over 6 weeks here in Portsmouth, where we're bringing in some phenomenal artists across different genres and mediums, from music to film, to television, to literature, to paintings, you name it. We're gonna do a little bit of everything, because what we want to expose people to is the talent that comes here, right? But also how we as Black people have used art as a way of sharing our stories, reshaping narratives, right? And communicating some very complex and tough issues. And so we're really excited to do this over the next 6 weeks. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Okay, so tell us about some of those events.
Yes, absolutely. So first and foremost, we're gonna do this all in person, but we're also making it available for people online. So if you can't make it out, you can watch it online. And the first is gonna be a celebration of food, which I really want everyone to come to. That's not something you can experience online. It's a celebration of food, and the beautiful part about this series is all the people who are coming here have local ties and have gone and done something really incredible nationally. First week is celebration of food. We're doing this with the ladies of Mango Mango. Lakeisha, who is the co-founder there, is coming to kind of talk about her story. And for those who don't know who Mango Mango is, they are the ladies who were on Shark Tank. They were raising money, and Mark Cuban and all these other amazing people. They actually received a no, and I want you to hear this story here. And they were able to take that no and not stop them. They end up creating this phenomenal restaurant called Mango Mango, which is under now, and it's expanded to a hotel called Simply Panache. And so they're gonna tell their story about why food is so important to them, how it's been able to kind of build relationships with the community, and so forth. And then following that, we have an amazing artist, Nicholas Smith, who's coming in. He was a Hampton University graduate, and he's gone on to produce some amazing artistic visuals that communicate a lot of complex things. He's worked with Disney, Pixar, Marvel, the whole nine. He's gonna kind of really explain how art has been impactful in his life. And then the last week I'll talk about for now is a film screening we're doing called Bad Things Happen in Philadelphia, which is a film series that's co-produced by Allen Iverson, NBA legend here from the 757. And we're gonna talk about the power of film. So yes, it's a lot of great things happening.
Wow, that's fantastic. Now, what else would you like the audience to know about this? Where can they go for more information about this?
Yeah, so we can find our City of Portsmouth website, and also the Instagram page as well. Again, we're gonna be rolling out programming for the entire month of February. Okay. And so it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Fantastic. Now, when did all this happen? Why did all this happen?
It's kind of a great story for us, because it just, I think, indicates how, a simple idea or a simple just statement someone makes can lead to something really great. Mm-hmm. And so for us, it started with an exhibit that we're doing called Art is Revolutionary, Icons, Innovators, and Trailblazers. That's really going to focus on artists here in Portsmouth who've come from Portsmouth or who have a Portsmouth connection, but some of them, into just Hampton Roads generally. But that will be our Portsmouth Color Community Library Museum. Okay. That will open in February, and it profiles just these individuals who've kind of had a big impact in their genres. And one of the individuals we were profiling, highlighting, was actually Mark himself, because Mark has quite an interesting, if I can brag for him a little bit, Mark is a Grammy winner. He's also the executive producer of this great film that we're bringing as part of our series. I'll let him tell you a little bit about that. But we really just were looking to add somebody who was, we have, Missy Elliott we're talking about. We have Wanda Sykes, who we're talking about, who are Portsmouth sort of icons, right? And so we're looking for folks who are doing different kinds of art genres. And one of our staff members who's worked with us really closely on Black History Now programming, Noel Torian, had worked with Mark before at a museum, in fact, at another museum. And so we just had this conversation about, how we could profile his career in our exhibit. And we just started this idea that just kind of kept going and going and going. And he had great ideas. We were super excited. And we realized that this was something we could do to really bring a lot of positive attention to Portsmouth, and that great things happen here in Portsmouth. And this is one of them.
And art's the way to do it. I mean, art, it can be political, it can be, but it transcends politics.
Yes, and that's a big message for us, I think.
It's the art of being human.
Absolutely, and it's the exciting part of that, right? Is like you said, it crosses over all barriers here. But what's really exciting as well is that we're actually going to show people just how much talent lives and comes from the 757, this area here, right? And how much it has really shaped, like, culture, right? Yes. From here, you're talking Missy Elliott, you're talking Teddy Riley's, right? I mean, there's so many, the list goes on and on.
You go back even further into the jazz era. And
absolutely,
stuff like
Ella Fitzgerald. You're talking, absolutely. So and on top, even for what most people realize, even some of the contemporaries, Jay-Z came down to the Virginia area here, and so we're just really excited to be able to highlight the talent and the art that comes from this region. So it's gonna be really exciting.
So highlighting the art, you mentioned a film.
Yes.
That you made.
I did. Yes. So it's always hard to insert that into conversations, but I suppose it's the platform to do it. Yeah, so we made a film with Allen Iverson, a local legend here, called Bad Things Happen in Philadelphia. And this is the really important part of that, is that we use film to really be able to communicate what's going on in Philly. Philadelphia experienced 500 homicides to gun violence in 2021, right? And that's a problem that a lot of counties and cities are facing. And so what we were doing in this film is highlighting organizations who were on the ground doing some phenomenal work to curb that violence. And what has happened from that film, that started off as a passion project, has gone on. We've actually licensed it to Fox and Netflix later this year. And so we've been able to gather support for these organizations outside of the traditional systems. And so we're talking about art is revolutionary, right? This passion project that started off with a film crew of 8 or 9 people now has gone on. We've been to many award festivals, right? And so film festivals and had a really good run there. And so we've been able to really spark change through a passion project in art.
Well, you keep bringing up passion.
Yes.
I mean, passion ignites art. I mean, there's nothing that motivates anybody like being passionate about an issue or something.
Absolutely.
And if I could add too, so we will be screening the film here as part of this series.
Great.
And we actually have a lot of people involved in the production of it who will be part of a post-screening conversation as well. So we hope that that's a great start for it.
It's going to be great, exactly. So in other words, like the film and crew, half of them are from the 757 and done that. So Allen Iverson's childhood friends, Cleon Lockett and Paul Taylor, who grew up with Iverson in Hampton, were a large part of that. And so they'll be at the screening as well. The director will be there on top of that. It's going to be a great time. And on top of that, it's something we're experiencing here in Portsmouth. And so if the people to see that, and there's an expression that we've been using in film, that distance breeds suspicion, but proximity breeds empathy. And film does a great way, is a great way of kind of, exactly, it puts you there, right. And so it disarms you, right, is watching that. There's something about having enough distance on the screen, right, but enough to be able to kind of see the stories there. And so that's why we think that art's revolutionary, and we're excited to kind of bring people in.
This is really exciting.
Yeah, and we do have a lot of children's programs that, and so the way we talk about it is, Home Studios, who Mark represents, really has just curated this great program for us in the city. And so they've also done a really good job of creating children's programs. So there's always, every week has a children's component that will be highlighted, and that, kind of just makes it all ages kind of programming.
Yeah, we're excited to have this children's program there as well, because it's not just for adults, right? We want to be able to curate an experience that's enjoyable for our families of all ages.
Especially for kids, I think that's even more important. Adults might be lost.
Well, we're fine.
Kids,
yeah, the kids.
To reach them.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. Well, listen, so again, where would people go for more information about this?
Yes, so you go to City's website, but also you can follow us on City of Portsmouth or Instagram channels and our Facebook pages, but also Home Studios as well, and we're actually launching a website called blackhistoryva.com. You can go there and take a look at it, and you can find out more information there.
Well, fantastic. This sounds really exciting.
We're really excited.
Yes,
and you should be fine.
And we hope this is the first of several years of collaborative programming that we can do.
Well, I hope so too, really. Well, thank you so much for all your work on this.
Thank you.
And can't wait to see how it all unrolls. And we'll have you back next year.
Sounds good.
About that. Thanks for joining us today. Every Saturday throughout the month of February, History Live will present a front porch talk at Emmanuel AME Church. The first talk focuses on Black patriots. Here is a famous Black patriot from the American Revolution. Welcome to Portsmouth Now, James. And I'm calling you James because, and forgive me for being so personal, since we've just met, but There is some confusion about your actual name. Most people refer to you online. You'll see searches for James Armstead Lafayette. But that, my understanding is that is not really your name. Could you explain a little bit about your name?
That's true. I only go by the name of James. And James was the name I've always referred to, but it was often thought that slaves took their names from their masters or from someone who they really appreciated in life. In my case, I took my name for the person I most admired, Marie-Joseph Paul Leves or Rochelle Gilbert de Montier de Lafayette.
So Lafayette from the
Marquis de Lafayette. And
Lafayette.
Also it was de Lafayette. Lafayette is actually the name. So later on in life I went by James Fayette.
James Fayette.
Yes.
All right. Now tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, you played a very pivotal part right at the very end of the Revolutionary War. But it has been argued that the Revolutionary War may not have ended when it did and the way it did if not for what you did.
Well, we won the last definitive battle in the American Revolutionary War, and that was the Battle of Yorktown. The part I played was, I had met the Marquis de Lafayette through my master, William Armistead. They decided that I was a very articulate and intelligent individual, so they decided to use me to become a spy. But not only a spy, I had to become a double agent and a spy. So I had to infiltrate the camp of the British camp. During that time, it was Benedict Arnold. I had to infiltrate their camp and make them think I was a runaway slave. They thought I was a runaway slave. They saw some merit in my intelligence also. So they used me as a spy for them, not knowing that I was a spy for the Marquis de Lafayette.
Okay.
I was always over his shoulder, retrieving information for him so I could take back to the Marquis de Lafayette, so we could ensure our victory. Because that war, we were tremendously outnumbered, 3-1. We were tremendously.
Well, the greatest empire in the world.
Yes,
yes.
So it had to be a strategic plan that we had so that we could win the war. And by me infiltrating Benedict Arnold and then later Lord Cornwallis's camp, I was able to provide information to the Marquis de Lafayette so we could trap Cornwallis in Yorktown. Wow. And that's what we did, trapped him on all three sides.
You certainly did. Now, a lot of people might not know that Benedict Arnold was actually stationed here for a time in Portsmouth.
He most certainly was. You have a place called the Coffee Shop.
Yes, I think
Portsmouth.
He had a latte there at one time.
Yes. Not only did he have a latte, he had an office there also. And I used to frequent his office quite a lot, as a slave, doing menial chores for him also, making sure that he got his toddy at nighttime. He was a creature of habit. I'm going to tell you a little story some other time about how him being a creature of habit almost caused his downfall.
Okay.
But I used to look over his shoulders a lot of times, get the information and retrieve it. Later on, when Cornwallis came, a little bit later on, which was right down the street from the coffee shop, I had the same job, as you will, with Cornwallis also. I would attend to his needs, and I would also get the plans that he had to usurp Americans' authority over the British. And I ended up getting those plans and getting them by way of courier, sometimes myself, to the Marquis de Lafayette, which ensured us the victory at Yorktown.
Now, during all of this time, you were enslaved. When were you given your freedom?
That's a very, very funny question, because the provision were, if you had participated in the war and you were a colored man, and you could get your freedom after the war. Well, a spy was not considered a soldier. I never bared arms, so I was never considered a soldier. So actually, I had to petition for my freedom. And I actually did not get my freedom until around 1787, wow, as it were, because I had to get a letter from my master, William Armistead. And then I got a ringing endorsement from the Marquis de Lafayette himself, wow, because he was so angry when he had come back on one of his visits to see me still enslaved. So he wrote this ringing petition for me to receive my freedom, and shortly afterwards I did receive my freedom. The matter of fact, it was the next year, in January of the next year, of 1787.
Fantastic. That's well, okay. Thank you for stopping by and clearing up some mysteries about you.
Well,
and
thank you so much.
and I guess people should come out then and hear the first front porch lecture that you'll be giving in February.
Yes, I'm looking forward to having people just to hear my story and to hear about some of their own history, maybe.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for coming here today, sir.
The pleasure's all mine.
Our next guest is Lauren White, who will tell us about Black History events being sponsored this month by the Portsmouth Public Library. Lauren, welcome to Portsmouth Now.
Thank you.
Now, you're going to hear to tell us about some of the Black History Month events that are taking place throughout the month that are sponsored by the Portsmouth Public Libraries. So, what are some of those?
So our first one is going to take place on February 3rd. We are hosting a multi-generational quilting workshop where we are going to talk about 3 different Black artists that incorporate either bright geometric shapes and colors or quilting in their work. And then we hope to complete a quilted t-shirt by the time we're done. Then February 15th, and that one is taking place at Main Library.
So do people register for that ahead of time?
Yes. So register for that one. You can either look on our Facebook page or contact whitela@portsmouthva.gov.
Okay.
February 15th at Craddock Branch Library, we will have Nathan Richardson from Arts for Learning Virginia. They will be portraying Frederick Douglass and taking our audience through a journey in an unscripted Q&A.
Okay, so they're going to meet Frederick Douglass, basically.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
That one's for all ages. That's at 3:30 p.m. on February 15th. Then we have the 2 sort of big events on February 17th. Our first event is, believe it or not, for teenagers. Nafan Asuko is going to be leading a mudcloth of Mali workshop. So the teens will be learning about the symbols in Malian culture and painting their own mudcloth. And then for the adults, we will have the Black History Expo. So this is an annual event that we put on. It starts at 2 p.m. with a performance by the Porttown Magic Choir. Then we will have a presentation from Julie Dunn and Aisha McCullum from Hill House Museum. And we will, if you want more quilts, we'll have quilts from the Quilting Guild. They're great. We have them every year. And then finally, for the little ones, on February 20th, we will have Rita Cohen present Dance Ballet Ngoma, and we'll be learning about all sorts of dances throughout the world.
So if people want more information about these events, where do they go online to get that?
So you can find us on our website, portsmouthpubliclibrary.org, or Portsmouth Public Library on Facebook. We are the Monthly Blue Sailboat.
Okay, not the one in New Hampshire.
Exactly.
Right. So be sure, if you're interested to check out, go to the website, the Facebook page, and check out these upcoming events being sponsored by the Portsmouth Public Libraries.
Hello, I'm Alexandra Abel, your General Registrar and Director of Elections for the City of Portsmouth, and I want you to make a difference and vote. A primary will be held for both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party on Tuesday, March 5th, to determine the presidential nominee for the November 5th general election. Early voting will begin on Friday, January 19th, and will continue until Saturday, March 2nd. Voting hours are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and we will also be open on 2 Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturday, February 24th, and Saturday, March 2nd. We do not register by party here in Virginia, so you may only vote in one party primary. So whether you decide to vote early at the registrar's office or you wait until Election Day, you will be asked, would you like a ballot for the Republican Party primary, or would you like a ballot for the Democratic Party primary? You can only choose one. Call 757-393-8644 if you would like to vote by mail, or visit vote.virginia.gov to apply online. Be informed, be involved, be a voter.
Introducing Ports Alerts, a free new notification system for Portsmouth residents. You choose the alerts and information you want, from city meetings and operations to concerts and community events. It only takes a minute. Sign up for Ports Alerts today.
During any month of the year, there's so much to see and do at the Children's Museum of Virginia. Let's welcome back Erin Colson, who will tell us what's in store for February. Erin, welcome back to Portsmouth Now.
Thanks for having me, Rob.
And I have to say, you are conspicuously holding a little book. Tell me about that. You read.
I do. We do a lot of reading at the Children's Museum of Virginia, but we are super excited to be hosting A Pigeon Comes to Portsmouth, a Mo Willems exhibit. And it's actually based on the book series by Mo Willems about the pigeon. So the most popular book is Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus. So of course there'll be a bus in the exhibit. But we explore all the things with the pigeon and his friends, Piggy and Ellie, and even the ducklings. So we'll have a little bit of thanking people, basic manners, as well as hot dog tosses and fashion shows.
What's a hot dog toss?
Exactly what it sounds like. Can you launch a hot dog and how far?
You could eat them?
No. No food.
So when does this exhibit kick off?
Sure, the exhibit opens on Saturday, February 3rd. It's part of our regular admission, and we'll have it with us through May.
Oh, fantastic. So what else is coming up in February?
We have a lot of fun things happening in February. Second Saturday, of course, is Saturday, February 10th, and then Sunday, February 11th is Special Needs Sunday, just like every month. We're excited to explore all kinds of things with the Black History Now series.
Yes.
Yeah, so each weekend, actually, we'll be having an activity based on the Black History Now series. We're gonna explore art, we're gonna explore literature, we're gonna look at fashion, as well as film. So we're really excited to bring those activities to our families and engage local artists like Nicholas Smith in what we're doing.
That's fantastic. So well, it sounds like a full month.
It's gonna be a very busy month. Tickets and all the information for our upcoming activities are on childrensmuseumvirginia.com.
Okay, what are your hours and days and hours of operation at this point?
We're open Wednesday through Sunday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and online tickets are required.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for stopping by and telling us about what's happening at the Children's Museum of Virginia.
Thanks for having me, Rob.
I'm now very honored to welcome to Portsmouth Now, Mr. Jeffrey Wilson. Mr. Wilson, welcome to Portsmouth Now.
Thank you so very much. The pleasure's all mine.
Well, Barry, we want to hear about your life, but first, I wanted to ask you a little bit about some of the events coming up in Portsmouth during Black History Month. Could you tell us about them?
Yes, sir. We have our Heroes in History Walk. And that's every Saturday at 10 a.m. Also, that walk includes an interior of Emmanuel AME Church, which you know is on North Street. This church was a stop off on the Underground Railroad. Now, I want to tell you so much more, but I would rather for them to come on the tour and see it. The tour was $25. It is now $20 to come on the tour. And I guarantee you, there's so many interesting facets of that tour that they be guaranteed to enjoy it.
Okay, and if someone wanted to get tickets to that tour, is there a website to go to?
Yes, we do have a website. It's History Alive is our website. We'll be telling you a little bit more about that.
Fantastic. Now, I know that, Mr. Wilson, you knew quite a bit about the church itself, but I'll be honest, I grew up in Portsmouth, and the only reference I have for your name, is a housing development that existed, I think, from World War II until the 90s.
Exactly.
Jeffrey Wilson Homes. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Where were you born? Were you born in Portsmouth?
I was born in the city of Portsmouth.
Okay.
I was born in 1843. And I was born in Portsmouth. And the funny thing about it, I was a slave and didn't know I was a slave until I was 10 years old.
Now, why was that?
Well, because I was taken by a family called Grice, the Grice family, which is a very prominent family right here in Portsmouth, Virginia. They took me from my house when I was, from my parents' house when I was 10 years old, and I went to work for the Grice's family. I became a body servant to their son. A little bit later, their son ended up going into the military, and as a body servant, you have to follow that person all the way through their life, literally.
Right.
So even when he went in the Army, I followed him into the Army also.
But until 10 years old, until you were actually made that, you had no idea that you were a slave.
I had no idea I was a slave. Also, I was treated very well by the Grice family. They did something that was really unheard of at that time. This was a little bit after the Nat Turner uprising. And colored people weren't allowed to be able to be taught to read or write, or even have a congregation that was headed by a colored
Because
individual.
Nat Turner was very literate and was a minister, and after he led the rebellion, my understanding is they made it illegal to teach a enslaved person to read.
Most certainly.
These people actually broke the law to
They
teach you.
broke the law to help me to be the person that I am today. They taught me in secrecy to read and to write. When I went into the Army along with young Mr. Grice, that my education continued after that. And then after that, at the age of around 20, 21, I ended up joining the Navy myself. I was free and I ended up joining the Navy. And I never had any inkling of the future that was ahead of me.
Okay, so you've always body servant. Is that sort of like a valet, a butler?
Yeah, a body servant is it was something that actually began in the 1700s, 16 to 1700s. Body servant was just somebody in church they would be referred to as an armor bearer,
okay.
A person that took care of maybe the minister. Now, these people would invite usually a slave to come in and grow up with their son, make sure their son was protected, make sure nothing happened to their son.
So what a weird dynamic that must have been to have been enslaved. So you're basically living next to somebody, probably no better than anyone else, maybe than a spouse.
That's right.
But that intimacy, and yet to be enslaved in that situation too, and having that wall there as well.
And you know, many slaves might have had bad experiences, but I can honestly say I did not have that bad experience when I was a slave adopted by this family.
So I guess he served in the Civil War.
I served in the war also, but what happened, I was, when I went into the, it was around 1868, 1866, I would join the Navy.
So after you were emancipated?
After I was emancipated, I joined the Navy. I traveled the world, and I got several different jobs. I had a job as a bail bondsman. Also in the city of Portsmouth. I worked for the Portsmouth government. I worked for the Navy Yard also.
Wow.
And I was a bailiff also for the city of Norfolk. So I had a very, very, very good life. And I ended up coming back to the house where my parents was, right here on North Street.
Wow.
Yes.
But like I said, I knew very little about you. And the last night, to prepare for this interview, I sort of went online and did a search, and I found online a lot of your writings and a feature that was done, I believe, the Portsmouth paper, and it was called Colored Notes. And you, because you were literate, because you were well-read and could write and all, and wrote very well, I was just fascinated reading about your life, just because these were mostly written, I guess, in maybe 19-teens and 1920s.
Right, that's
and looking
right.
back to the 1840s, the 50s, the
yes.
60s, and being able to remember being enslaved so clearly.
Oh,
I
yes.
mean, you were just an authority. I mean, I don't know why more historians don't go to your writings to explore the reality of all of this, because they're beautiful.
Well, in Colored Notes, I also refer back to years around 1848, 1849, when I was about 6 or 7 years old. I also refer to in Colored Notes about when I was 10 years old and I was taken by the Grice family. And I make light of it, how I'm digging up potatoes for the Grice family and I'm loving everything that I'm doing. Then I talk about my childhood. I talk about my wicked stepfather. I talk about my beautiful mother, Mary, who I love so very much. And then even Ida Barber's death was in Colored Notes. Her death was in 1925, and it was printed in Colored Notes. Now, people didn't know what Colored Notes was. I had to explain to people, Colored Notes was a way of telling people. Now, my column, Colored Notes, was featured in the Portsmouth Star. And
that was sort of the predecessor to the Ledger Star and all that?
That was the predecessor to the Ledger Star. That was the Portsmouth paper. Norman Hamilton was the editor at that time. Now, he was a very good friend of mine also. He allowed my Colored Notes to be on the very back of the paper. It was under the want ads, right next to the comic strips. And Colored Notes was a way of keeping colored people informed of what was going on in the Jim Crow South, what was going on everywhere.
Well, that strikes me, but would that have been unusual? We're talking 19-teens and 20s for a white-owned paper in the South to actually have a section like that? That would have been very unique.
Oh yes, as a matter of fact, I didn't use my real name. I went by the name of Ye Scribe when I wrote Colored Notes.
Ye Scribe?
Ye Scribe.
Very literate.
Right. So that's the name that I went by. And colored notes actually formed by, I would have in the paper, I would have, please send me information about your births, your deaths, people in your family, things going on in the colored society where you are. I would get notes all the way from Connecticut, Maryland, from everywhere. And what happened, they would write these little notes. I had a pharmacy that I would have them picked up at. They would put those notes in that little drop box in the pharmacy. I would come and retrieve them or have someone to retrieve them for me. And they would bring them back to me, and I would put those notes as a mark of history in colored notes.
And now we have that. Right? It is just that. You know, those notes, which I know exist online, and you could get to those tell the history.
They do.
Yeah.
They literally tell my history. I go into details when I talk about certain people. I talk about people in the legislature also. I talked about, but see, it was very, very dangerous at that time to have that and to be known by a colored man that was the author of colored notes.
Right.
So that's why I went by the name of Ye Scribe.
Right, smart move from the given situation.
Yes.
Well, it has been fascinating talking to you.
Well,
thank you so much
very
for taking time to come visit us today.
I'll tell you what, if you would happen to visit Emmanuel AME Church, there's a plaque that has my name on it. Jeffrey Wilson, superintendent of Sunday school for over 50 years.
Wow.
And during that tour also, I can't really say out loud, but there's some secret passageways in that church. But you have to come to visit the tour just so you can see where they are.
Well, people should take advantage of that, and I'm sure they will. Well, thank you for stopping by today.
Sir,
and
thank you so very much.
You're very welcome.
I love my city of Portsmouth.
We love you.
Thank you, sir.
Our next guest is Stephen Granette, who's here to tell us what exhibits are opening in February at the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center. Stephen, welcome back to Portsmouth Now.
Thank you so much, Rob.
So what is happening in February at the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center?
Well, for the majority of the month, we're going to be installing, but towards the end of the month, we're going to open a new exhibit that we've never had the likes of. In fact, I don't know if there's been a lot of museums that have seen this kind of exhibit. It is all artists that work in unique materials and air. So they use this to harness the air and blow their sculptures up. So we're talking about big room-sized inflatable sculptures from artists all over the world.
Oh, okay. When you said worked in the air, I thought like worked on airplanes or something.
Right, no, I'm talking about
they
sort
use
of like,
air
yes,
as space as part of their...
And it really kind of harkens back to the pop art genre, but also kind of questions the definition of art and what that is. So if we're talking about giant inflatables, that could be something like a Christmas decoration in someone's backyard or front yard. But in this case, they're passing as sculptures. These artists are saying, no, I'm doing something really unique with this and putting it in an art gallery for you to appreciate it. And they're fun. Oh my gosh, the colors and the uniqueness of these sculptures are really amazing.
Wow. So, most of them are inflatables? I mean, or...
They're all inflatable, and we have to inflate them and deflate them every day.
Wow, okay.
And
I hope you have to do that by...
It's not, no, I'm not going to hyperventilate.
Okay.
They will come with fans and special equipment. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Now, this opens at the end, towards the end of February. I suppose there will be events and things that are connected to the exhibit.
So everything air-powered. I'm going to try and have art activities that relate to bubbles, and also some instruments that involve air, like maybe wind ensemble or bagpipe band. And then we do this, on those Saturdays when we also have that market. And every first Saturday of the month, we have the art market, the flea market, and the farmer's market. But every Saturday, that farmer's market is getting bigger and bigger.
Yes. It is, yeah.
It's really fantastic. And that's about 10 o'clock to 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
And so we'll have these programs, art activities, artist demonstrations, music, in the mornings during that time when people are out and about.
Okay, and when does this exhibit open again?
It'll open February 24th.
February 24th, all right, fantastic, all right. So if people want more information about the exhibit or about the museum itself, like hours, admission? Where would
we'll
they
be
go?
open Wednesday through Sunday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Okay.
But they can certainly go on to our website, portsmouthartcenter.com, or they can just call me or whoever's at the museum, which is 757-393-8543.
All right. Well, thanks so much for coming here and telling us about it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rob.
As our final guest today, we'd like to welcome back to Portsmouth Now, Stephen Alexander of History Alive. Stephen, welcome back to Portsmouth Now.
Thank you very much.
It's good to see you as yourself.
Well, thank you. You know, doing all this tends to make me slightly schizophrenic. No, it doesn't. You have to shut up and let them talk. I'm sorry.
Well,
okay.
it's good to have you here. First of all, I want to just thank you and everyone at History Alive, which during February, we have program Black History Alive, because you're focusing primarily on Black history events.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so tell us, go over the calendar, tell us a little bit about some of those events that you're sponsoring.
Okay, well, you know, in February, we have our Heroes in History. That's every Saturday. That's at 10 a.m. Now, also, we have what's known as Front Porch Talk series. Now, this is going to be wonderful. Everybody has a front porch and everybody used to talk, and that's what this is about, Front Porch Talk series. That's going to be at Emmanuel AME. That's going to be Saturdays in February at 1 p.m.
Okay. And does that then go through the community? Is it started at Emmanuel, or is it?
Yes. It starts at Emmanuel, and that's going to be that Front Porch Talk series is going to be just wonderful. It's good. Yes, it will be at Emmanuel.
Okay.
And then we have also educational offerings. Also, we have interpreter appearances. We have James Fayette, James Armistead Lafayette, known in history. We have Liza Baines. We have Jeffrey Wilson. We have those in our. Then we have our production of Peanut Man. If you're familiar with George Washington Carver,
well, of course,
you're going to love this production of Peanut Man. And then, last but not least, we have our Heroes in History excursions. Now, this is for the students. Now, this is pretty much geared towards certain grade levels in school. So that's what we're going for with the Heroes in History's classroom excursions.
I mean, you all really do bring history alive.
Yes,
and
yes.
What I find so commendable, I mean, we were doing Black History Live during February, but these programs are all year round. So you have Black History events and programs that you offer throughout the year, not just in February.
Throughout the whole year. And it's multicultural also.
That is the next thing I was going to say.
Yes.
What you all do is so wonderful, because you focus on little-known Jewish history,
Yes,
Portsmouth,
that's
Scottish
right.
history.
That's exactly
you do,
right.
Revolutionary War, Civil War,
Oh, yes.
Victorian, 20th century. I mean, it is so impressive what you all do.
We tell about the origins of the now known Norfolk Naval Shipyard, which was a Gosport yard, which was a Scottish man who was actually the builder of that. But we're going to tell you a little bit about that also, but you have to come on the tour to see it.
Well, your tours are wonderful. What you're doing is wonderful. I mean, you really capture the tapestry. There really is American society, and how, you know, we have all been here together in our different little groups and things, divided for so long. But we are the country we are because we were side by side and, you know, woven together into this tapestry of American history.
And that's the only way we can come together.
Yeah,
that's the only way we can come together.
Well, thank you so much for coming out. Now, if people want to find out more, if they want to book a tour, if a teacher is seeing this and thinks, I want to maybe see about bringing you into the classroom, where do they go for information online? Now,
you can go to History Alive. That's our site, History Alive. You can get all the information that you need to go on a tour, or you can come right down to the visitor centers. They have all the information right down here at the visitor center, or you can call and they will give you any information you would like to have.
Thank you again for joining us on Portsmouth Now.
Thank you for having me so much.
You're welcome. And really, if you would like to discover more about the fascinating history of Portsmouth, because it is multifaceted, multicultural, and we're talking over 270 years of history, be sure to check out what's being offered by History Alive. Just visit their website, historyalive.info. That's it for our show today. If you'd like to find out more information about any of the events featured on today's show or any other events taking place in Portsmouth, simply log on to www.portsvacation.com and then come to Portsmouth, where if you give us a day, we'll give you a vacation. I'm Rob Lauer. Join me in March for the next episode of Portsmouth Now.